Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah if you're new here. Sorry for the strange angle, but I really wanted to show off like the top bit of the bookshelves just for this little bit. Today we're going to do an unhaul, and I was looking at my shelves and I am a person who likes my bookshelves to reflect my current reading tastes and like my favorite books that I want to reread, books that I loved, books that I recommend. And over the years, I've just been like collecting some books or have read through some books, and they're on the shelves, but they don't necessarily, like, I don't love them or I don't see myself rereading them. And there are just a couple books that I'm like, you know what? We're going to pull those off the shelves. So I'm going to go start grabbing a couple books, and then I'll talk to you about why we're getting rid of them. All right. This is going to be a little controversial, but the first round of books I have to talk about are the Olive E. Blake books that I didn't like, with the caveat that the Atlas series. So this is actually a 3-book series. The Atlas 6, the Atlas Paradox, and then the third one, which I do not have, is the Atlas Complex. I read the Atlas 6 when it was self-published, and then the author got traditionally published, and so I got these editions. And I really loved the first book in this series. The Atlas 6 was like 4.5 out of 5 stars. Very pretentious and character-driven, and I was here for it. And then the Atlas Paradox came out, and I was a little less enthused. The writing was starting to irk me a little bit more. There were some really dumb character conflicts in the second book in this series that I really didn't like. And then I read 50% of the third one, and I absolutely hated it, and I was incredibly bored. And so I decided to DNF that book and DNF the series, and I don't think I'm ever going to revisit it. It's cool that I've got the self-published version, but I think someone else is going to love these. And hopefully this series finds its target audience, because the third book has incredibly low ratings, which is yikes. But I'm kind of in the majority of people who did not like the third one. I thought the third one was garbage. So getting rid of these, sadly. And I'm also getting rid of Alone with You in the Ether. I've talked about this before, but this is a book that I decided not to rate on my channel because of the subject matter in here, and I feel like I'm not the person to speak on the content within this book. However, I didn't necessarily enjoy my time reading it either, so I don't see the point in keeping it. The only 2 Olive E. Blake books I am keeping and considering, rereading at some point are Masters of Death and One for My Enemy. Although I'm also considering getting rid of One for My Enemy because I also didn't super love that one either. That was like a 3-star. Maybe I should just get rid of it too. I really didn't like One for My Enemy now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I'm probably gonna grab that one too. Causing a mess. Making a mess, but that's okay. So yeah, I'm gonna get rid of One for My Enemy as well. And look, someone will be so happy to find like a gigantic Olive E. Blake collection at the secondhand shop. All right, let's keep going. I hate that I have to do this. Okay, hear me out. Hear me out. Please don't cancel me. Hear me out. This is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This is a dark fantasy start to a series. I read the first book several years ago now and gave it 4 stars because the technical craftsmanship of this as a book and as a story was excellent. However, this was so dark and violent that it made me not want to continue and not want to even finish this book. And so like I gave it 4 stars because like intellectually I know that it's a good book and it's a good story, and I'm assuming this, you know, obviously later installments round out nicely, but like for me personally, it was just incredibly harrowing and not fun for me to read. I didn't really enjoy my time reading it overall, and I don't think I'm going to continue the series, so I don't think I need a hardcover edition of the first book. I have the audiobook of the first one, so if I ever do decide to go back and finish the series, I can do it on audio, so I'm just getting rid of my physical copy. Mad respect to R.F. Kuang. No shade, no tea. I've loved her other books. I've loved other books by her, but that one is just too grimdark. I'm not a grimdark girly. You won't see any like Joe Abercrombie on my shelves. It's just not a genre for me. All right, let me hunt some more down. Ooh. Ooh, I don't like this. Why am I doing this? Okay. One book I'm for sure getting rid of because I just straight up didn't like it was A History of What Comes Next by Sylvain Neuvel. This is an author I've loved in the past, and I hated this book. So there we go. It's a sci-fi historical alternate history type book, and it's sapphic, but it was terrible. These two, see, this is a conflict for me. You have to let me know what you think about this one. So I love Silvia Moreno Garcia. I have a very large collection of her books. However, her latest releases, Daughter of Dr. Moreau and Silver Nitrate, were a 2.5 and a 3-star read. Should I keep them because Silvia Moreno Garcia is a favorite author, or should I get rid of them because I didn't like them and they're taking up space? Part of me wants to get rid of them, you know, and someone can have a hardcover edition of these like really nice new releases. But the other part of me is like, but she's my favorite author and I want to support her. But but I'm never going to reread these. I'm never going to reread them. I'm maybe talking myself into it. I did like this one. Like, it was a 3-star. Like, it wasn't amazing, but I had a good time in general reading it. But this one I actively disliked. Okay, so we're going to get rid of Dr. Moreau for sure. I might keep this one. Don't judge me. That one. Okay. Got 2 more. The first one is Lore Olympus Volume 1. I picked this up because I wanted to get more into graphic novels. But the whole thing is on the internet for free on Webtoon. And I didn't love this enough to keep a physical copy. I thought that sometimes the way that it appeared on the page was really hard to read. So like we were kind of really zoomed out on some of these pages. And I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was like a 4-star read. But I don't think I'm going to collect all the volumes or like revisit this. So I think I can get rid of that. No shade, really. No shade, no tea. Nothing wrong with it, but I just don't think I'm going to like collect all of the volumes. If it was something I like loved, I would like some childhood favorites up here. If you don't know, that's one of my like childhood favorite manga series, which is why I have those. I don't really recommend these nowadays, but that's a separate video. But if it was something I love, I'd want to collect it and collect the whole series, and I don't, so there's that. I'm also getting rid of my gigantic hardcover edition of the Complete Tales and Poems of Edgar Allan Poe. I literally have an audiobook of all of Edgar Allan Poe's works. And I recently read one of the stories in here. I read the Purloined Letter, which is one that I read in college, so I was rereading it, and I really didn't like it. And this is tiny, tiny text. Tiny, absolute tiny, and it's hardcover, so it's hard to like stay open on its own. And I didn't really love it. I had this idea that I was gonna read everything in here and like rate every single thing, every story, every poem. And I'm not gonna do it. And if I want to read Edgar Allan Poe, I can listen to the audiobook version and listen to the tracks that I want, or get them from the library. This is in the public domain now, so like I don't need a hardcover. If I loved Poe, I would keep this, but I don't, so I'm gonna get rid of it. My pile's getting kind of big. I have bookshelves in a different room, so I went into that other room to grab the last couple of books. One of them is La Morte d'Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory. This is, I think, one of the first ever written accounts of the King Arthur legend, and I really like King Arthur retellings, or at least I had a phase where I really liked King Arthur retellings, and so I was going to go back and read, like, not the original tale because it's like folk tales, right? I was going to go back and read this, and then I just kind of lost interest, and I've had this for so many years at this point. I don't even know when I bought this, probably 10 years ago at least, and I just have no desire to read this. I also heard, the more I learn about the King Arthur myth, there's an aspect that I really don't like where Lancelot essentially gets sexually assaulted. He gets like magically coerced into having sex with someone who like bewitches herself to look like Guinevere, and gets pregnant with a child with him, and I'm like, I really don't like that. So anyway, I just, like, that really put me off, and then since then I just haven't really been in the mood for like King Arthur retelling, so I think I'm just gonna get rid of it. And if I ever do want to read the original tales, I can just get it from the library. last but most controversial, I think, I'm getting rid of my Skyward Flight series. There's one more. There's Defiant. Brandon Sanderson. I cannot tell you the amount of disappointment I have because of this series. I love Skyward. Skyward is a young adult sci-fi book about this girl, and she's like this really angry teen, and I love that. And she's got a spaceship companion and a slug friend, a doom slug. I really loved the first book in this series so much. 5 stars. Loved this. And then the second one came out. It wasn't as good. We kind of go off the rails at the end of the first book, and you kind of figure out what's really going on, and it just goes in a completely different direction than what you initially think the series is going to be about. And so we're pursuing that. I didn't love this as much. It was still like a 4-star. And then he wrote a bunch of novellas in between books 2 and 3. And they're almost full-length novels in and of themselves. They're like 200 pages, so they're like long novellas. And I read 2 of them, and I didn't like them. And then I read half of Cytonic and was hating my time reading it. I was like, oh, I'll just put it down and I'll get back to it. And that was like over 2 years ago. And I have had no desire to pick this back up and continue. And so I think I've outgrown the series. The series went in places I didn't love. I bought the paperbacks thinking, oh, now that I've got the paperbacks, I'm more likely to read, you know, because I've got the visual reminder that I have to read these, and even still, I don't have any desire to finish the series. So I love Brandon Sanderson's adult works, but his young adult is just not for me anymore, and despite my love of Skyward, the series really falls off for me, and it's gotta go. On a quick note, I just wanted to show you this little area as well. These are books I'm also considering getting rid of. So these are books like I'm thinking about getting rid of, but I'm not 100% sold on. I am not a saga person. I read the first volume and like wasn't super impressed. So that's why that's there. I have a duplicate copy of this. I have a duplicate copy of this. I've broken up with Mercedes Lackey as an author, so I want to get rid of these ones. My husband started reading this, and there was so much sexual assault, like gratuitously. This is very grimdark, and so not for him and not for me. This is the second or third book in the series, and I was planning on collecting all 4 books in the series, but I liked the series but didn't love it enough to go out of my way to do that. Inkheart, this is a really damaged copy of Inkheart. I do like the story, or I liked it when I was a kid, but it's very damaged and honestly needs to get probably thrown away. It had like worms like boring through it, which was cool to see, but yeah. These ones I'm still thinking about. Legendborn, I read the first 60 pages and wasn't super impressed, and YA kind of has to grab me and impress me really quickly these days because I'm just getting older and I just prefer adult fiction nowadays. But I've heard such good things about these, so I don't know. These ones I'm considering keeping, but most of these other ones I think I'm gonna get rid of. Anyway, I'm just sitting on the floor. That's the end of the book unhaul. I went through my shelves and I'm getting rid of quite a few books. Thanks for sticking around. I'm gonna spin you around so you can see the pile on my desk. These are all of the books that I pulled off of my shelves today. So again, no, not much shade. The only book on here that I like absolutely hated was this one. Other than that, like, no shade or tea to any of these books or authors. I just want my shelves to reflect my favorites and my reading tastes, and these ones just aren't bringing me joy, and I'm not going to reread them. So there you go. That's the end of the unhaul. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!